What's up, everybody? My name's Tyler. You're watching Mom's Basement MMA. And in this feature, we're going to bring on some talent who do amazing work in the MMA community. And I'm bringing on one of my favorites today. He is the King of Crackdown, Mr. Crackdown. Welcome to the program, sir. I appreciate you. And I appreciate your time this evening, especially as we get close to the holidays. I know it's a busy time of the year for everybody.
I appreciate you too, and I'm glad that you brought me on.
Yes, sir. Well, one of the things I wanted to discuss about you, number one, I admire your work. I follow you on Instagram. I watch the quick pics. I watch all the content that you put out there. And I have to say, man, like, you have been doing this for several years. Can you tell me, how did you build up your platform and what got you into all of this?
So, I guess I'll give you a longer story instead of the short story. It's not really too long of a story, but my YouTube channel has been around for a long time. It was just like, it's not like I made a name for MMA. Like, now some people like, oh, I'm gonna be the rear naked choke, or I'm gonna be the teep, I'm gonna be this, I'm gonna be that. My YouTube channel was based off, my nickname was called King of Crackdown, was based off a video game. So like the Crackdown.
I played that game. That game's awesome.
So that was one of my favorite games on Xbox back then. I played it a lot and stuff. So now, I got like all the achievements on the game, the first game, not the second game, not the third, but the first game, all the achievements on that. And yeah, like I'm good at this game. I like it. I'm gonna make that my username. So it's basically just a casual YouTube channel. Then I saw other people making stuff, I'm like, I want to do this. I want to be a vlogger. I want to be this. I want to be that. And then I think actually my YouTube channel, like as far as content creation, it kind of started off as a food channel. So I was like one hit video from turning to Keith Lee before Keith Lee was Keith Lee. So my channel started off as a food creator. Like I would eat food and review it. And then, but that didn't really kick off. But I was already watching UFC prior to that as well. And now, I would predict fights in my head, like, just for fun. Like, oh, I think this guy going to win. And then I think UFC Pick'em came around. So I was doing UFC Pick'em before I even did it on YouTube. I was, like on the UFC site, I was predicting fights on the UFC site on their little app or whatever. And then, yeah, I be predicting on that site. Got some static back here. But yeah.
All good.
Yeah, I was predicting on their website. Yeah, on their website. For probably like 2 years before I started doing it on my actual YouTube channel. And I think one of like the main pushes for me to get onto doing it on YouTube is because the UFC Pick'em got taken off the website. So like I got nothing else to put this nowhere. And I think I started on it prior to that, but I really got locked in once that got taken away, because then all my folks was like, where am I gonna put my picks at? So I started doing it on YouTube. But yeah, I started as a content creator. And I think my first video, I did a couple prediction videos, but I think the first one I did was, I forget what, I think it was like Weidman versus Gastelum was my very first prediction video back in 2012, 13, I don't know, one of those years. And then my first one that blew up was like, I think Cyborg versus, I think Yana Kunitskaya. But yeah, I saw that one blow, like, wait, I can get more views off that. People actually care to see me predict fights. And this is a source right in my food review videos. I would get like, probably 500,000 views every blue moon. Probably like 2 videos hit 1,000 views. But that video got my first, like, that video got like 700 views in like overnight. That one. So like, this actually is an interest for this. And I already like to do this. And I already do this in my head regularly. So let me do that. And video after video. And I started off with the full videos. Like I want to do full videos because I was editing on my phone. My phone wouldn't allow me to upload a full video. So that's why I was doing like half at first. I would do like main card and prelims for like years. That was how I did. That was how I originally did it. Main card, prelims, with the sliding pictures and stuff. And then I think eventually someone was like, oh, show your face. Now like people actually care to see that. And I started showing my face. And I got more views, more of this. I started doing quick picks. But I started doing quick picks till I hit 1,000 subscribers. Then my channel really started to explode a little bit by my standard. I know other people get 10,000, 20,000, 30,000. But I went from like 1,000 to 2,000 to 3,000. That's for me was a slow. I would like double myself like kind of every year after I started doing quick picks. So yeah, gradual progression.
One of the things about you that's really interesting though is like you've stood the test of time. You've been doing this for many years, and I don't think a lot of people that, unless you're in our world, truly understand how much of a grind it is. And over the years, I'm sure you've seen a ton of people enter the scene and then a ton of people leave because I think they start finding out how hard this is. What's kept you in this all this time?
And yeah, I've definitely noticed that. And low-key, I feel like it's easier now to get in there because people find new angles. Like, well, I'll get to that. Well, this is your interview, but I'll just talk about your question. So yeah, it's definitely a grind. And I'm gonna talk about the past, not more so the present. But yeah, I just definitely seen a lot of people like say like they would come with like, oh, I like your channel, this stuff I see when they started, and I would encourage them. I watch the videos, like their videos, and share and stuff. But then like next day they go like, I can't do this no more. I can't do this more. I got a wife and kid, and again, other people out. It's on top of it already been a grind. Other people got more real life situations like, oh, I got a kid I got to take care of. I got a hard job I got to take care of. I do this on my pastime and it's not really growing. Like people might say like, oh, this is gonna be a path to money. And other people might say, oh, you should start up a betting this, start up this, start that. But I'm always thinking like, how much extra work is that going to be on me? And I think what has kept me going for it has kind of kept me from growing as much as I can, but also has kept me around is I've always kind of did it in a minimal perspective, and even more so now I'm more minimal because at first I would again like I said the slideshow type of prediction videos. You got download like 40 pictures and keep doing this and keep attaching that and keep doing it. So it syncs up to like 38 minutes. And when it's on this fight, you got all these pictures for this one. Then with this one, you got pictures on that and stuff. And that would probably take me like, 30, 40 minutes, hour to make, not over hour, because it's taking me an hour to record a video, probably like a 20, 30 minutes to upload it, all this different time. Like it all adds up. And then editing, like making a 4-hour video, spending 4 hours on something a week, if not more. And you making like, matter of fact, I wasn't making no money when I was doing that. I was making $0. And then when I was making money, that's why I switched to Quick Pick. Because then like when Quick Picks, like you could make all the individual videos and make money off on them. Not saying you make a whole lot of money, but at least you getting your hours work while versus when you're doing it like the full video, only the full videos or only the half videos, like full card, main card, prelims. And then you spend all this time, like 4 hours on this video and you making $2 here, $4 here. Like I can see how a lot of people like they put out work. I finally got monetized. Then you make, oh wait, I did all this work. I worked 2 years to get monetized. Now just to make $2 off a video that's spent 4 hours on. Like at first you feel good because you worked hard to get there. You're like, I'm so glad I'll take anything. Then you be there for a while, like, wait, I need to make some money. This ain't working out for me. And I know
you hit the nail on the head. That's my life right there. Like exactly what you just said. You put all this time, all this energy into a product, and then it makes like $3. And I think if I had to answer that on my own question, it'd be like it just has to be something that you genuinely feel passionate about. It has to be something that you genuinely look forward to. Because if you're not passionate about mixed martial arts, this really isn't going to be it for you. Is that something that you would more or less agree with?
I would definitely agree. And another thing I would say for people that's even like on the come up before I got, I'm still on the come up. I'm still definitely on the come up. But even before I got, consistent, well, I'm already said my, but before, well, I was gonna say years back, I already kind of realized before I was even monetized that, again, I feel like a lot of people that definitely messed up or just couldn't keep up. I feel like they try to go too high in production, whether they're editing themselves or they're outsourcing it. Like you outsourcing, you're gonna be paying a lot of money for editing, or you're spending a lot of time trying to do overtop edits. Then you're gonna be spending so much time doing it. Then fights. It's not like with other content creation feels like, oh, I make one big video every make like 4 big videos. Not a year, but 4 big videos a month. And I'm gonna get all this, all these views, all this money off it, or I'm just gonna have to do that. But with UFC prediction, you gotta study, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. And every single week there's a whole new fight. So like it's like you're not really resting. Like for the holiday season, you might get like a month off. Other than that, every week, then you got Contender Series, then you got Bellator, you got this. So it's always something. It's like you don't get to rest. So you can't try to be so high value, especially on the come up, trying to do all this stuff. People try to come up, I seen some real good people that like they have real good content, their prediction be solid. But again, the production be too high, and they be having 2 people doing it as well. And then we got 2 people, you got conflicting schedules, you got to divide the money, you got bump heads, do that. And then again, the high production of trying to edit that and who's going to do this, who's going to do that. And you got to do this every week. Then sometimes again, then you got Dana White's Contender Series, and it's like again every week. And it just it don't stop. It is year to year, week to week, year to year. Then you 4 years in, like it's a lot of work. So you gotta. And what I was gonna say, the point I'm trying to get to is people put too much emphasis on that, but the reality of like you could take the minimal approach, work smarter, not harder, and then when you get the fan base and the people that actually want to tune in, matter of fact, even like you add memberships and people want to pay money, like I really love your content, I want to pay you money, or however you want to do, or I want to buy your bets. But either way, if you get whether you get big through like you're having a diehard fan base, or you get big through like your videos start blowing up, or you create some controversy, you start blowing up. Either way, the thing is, I would say take the minimal approach. And even your videos might not look pretty, or people say, "Oh, your production like this," or "This is not this and not that." You don't have this mic, you don't have that. Eventually, when you get to that point, you can always, you you could, if you want to, like, I'm not at that point yet, but the point I feel like I want to get to is I want to get to the point where I probably can, invest in all that production and invest in all that stuff, and take my quality to another level. And then if I want to, I could private my old videos. Then all they're gonna see is the new stuff. You could bring it back every now and then, but it's not like, oh, this is what my channel is. It's just low production. Like, any point you want, you can change what your channel is about, especially if it's still within the niche. And even if you try to venture out a niche, you can always change. So I want people put too much investment in trying to look pretty early on, and that is messed up so many people. They add so much stress to themselves. But at the end of the day, especially in this niche, it's a long game, not a short game. And then people that could blow up quick, even you blow up quick, like I see people that blow up quick and have all this and all that, but who knows what they're doing behind the scenes, whether they had to pay people for this, pay for that. And I see them burning out. You got like 40,000 views. It seems like 40,000 subscribers. It seems like you got a pretty easy system of what you're doing. But like, I see those people burning out too. So again, it's about this balance and playing it smart.
Yeah, and I think you're referring to something that is something that I think a lot of other content creators could identify with. It's the cake versus the icing. If you go too crazy into the icing, then your whole product is eventually just kind of fall apart. And you also brought up something really interesting in your response. You talked about the pre-production. You talked about the film study and knowing what it is that you're talking about. And I was hoping for you, because you have a minimalistic icing, for lack of better terms, that frees you up to really like get into the meat and potatoes of what it is that you're previewing. Can you tell me, when you're getting ready to predict a UFC card, do you have like a method, or what are some of the things that you do to prepare yourself to make your predictions?
And the funny, maybe not so funny thing about that, I feel like even my studies kind of minimalistic a little way. I feel like it's harder when it's like say that and people see the results. Like when I do the Chinese card, like when we do other cards, you see me like I'm averaging, like I'm looking good, like I'm like looking like Kobe out there hitting threes like all the time. But then I struggle when I deal with fighters that I don't know. Like China,
Sure.
the Chinese card, you got a bunch of people like I could like tapes that don't really even matter, because it might as well be amateurs. Like when it comes to UFC, like you got to see how they like contender series. You got to see how they perform in the UFC. Road to UFC, you got to see how they perform in the UFC. So you could try to study, try to be that, and even still, like you could have the perfect analysis on it, and then it goes wrong. Because again, you don't want and that's still what happened with the UFC level fighters and the PFL and Bellator level fighters. But it's not going to happen as much with it's not going to happen much with the elite, like the truly elite established fighters. Is it well with these like rookies, basically? Because anything can happen to rookies like all the time.
Sure.
Like that tall Chinese fighter got knocked up by that short Chinese fighter. She was dominating the whole fight. She got hit with a head kick. Like I didn't go crazy with my confidence. I think I went low or average on that one. But still, it was a fight that should have been an easy win for her and was looking like an easy win. Then like that's over. And whether you predicted right or wrong, whether your analysis was on point or not, something unexpected happened, and your prediction was wrong. But yeah, as far as my thing, like I think most, like I would say realistically, I would say about 80% or more of my predictions as far as like UFC wise, it really just come off the top of the head. So I literally just be like digging in my head based on what I saw. Like not just the case, like I'm just dart at the board, but like I watch these fighters fight. I see where their strengths are. I see where their weaknesses are. I seen their last fight, and I saw like yeah, she couldn't get up after takedown. Like she got dominated on the ground, couldn't get up after takedown. This chick right here, she lost the fight via DQ, but she was dominant on the ground, was on her way to a real easy win. She's got a little bit frustrated. She could definitely take this chick down, and she could hold her down and dominate her. Like I can see, so basically, like of what I've already seen, then sometimes if it's like a real tight match or some newbie coming in, I will have to look into it. But if it's somebody I already seen, this person's been in UFC for you, I know where their strengths are, I know where their weaknesses are. But if it's a case like again, somebody I haven't seen, or maybe I missed that fight for whatever reason. But right now, I'll be live streaming not like watching the fight. I live stream myself reacting to the fights, not like I don't show the people the fight, but they see me reacting to the fight. But yeah. So even more so now, I'm watching all the fights. Like I did in the past, I would like watch every fight. I think somewhere in between, like especially like what 2020, 1, 2, 3, kind of like I wasn't watching all the fights anymore. I was like busy with other things. Like I wouldn't be able to watch all the fights. But now 2024, I've been back watching all the UFC fights, contender series, PFL stuff, especially UFC. But so my main thing, I've been watching all the fights, so I can draw my intel, my stuff from what I've seen, because I've seen it all. At least that's in the UFC what's relevant. And then anything I don't see, that's when I really start doing intel. Like, oh, this guy's coming from Bellator, this guy's coming from PFL, oh, this guy's coming from, I don't know, Cage Warriors. Let me see what he's about. Then I had to do it tape study. But as far as like fighters that I've already seen, especially for years, I pretty much already know. Then maybe every now and then, like, what, like, have they changed anything really? Because sometimes fighters will change, but for the most part, fighters realistically kind of stay the same. They don't really evolve too much. So I can hit it, a pretty good gauge on them based off what they have done for 4 years or plus, or even 2 years, depending. Like, especially people that have been busy, like you've been fighting like 4 times a year over the past 3 years. I seen how you win, I see how you lose, and I gauge off stuff like that.
I did want to ask you before I start digging into some UFC specific questions for you. I did want to ask. You recently put out an announcement on your YouTube channel. Can you tell my audience just kind of what it was that you had announced and what are some of the things that you are going to be building and releasing in 2025?
Yeah, the announcement really, it wasn't about, like, I guess it wasn't no big. I guess I did mention some stuff, but as far as particularly the main point of that video was, or I guess videos, I did multiple videos, kind of the same thing, but all it was pointing to is like that specific video was I sparred with, like, I would say, wouldn't call it really sparring. We kind of did, we played tag a little bit with a former UFC fighter, UFC. He was been always like he currently heavyweight, and he fought mostly at light heavyweight in UFC, middleweight. But a guy I was already familiar with, I already knew him prior to him joining the UFC because he was like, we were in a similar group before, so I already knew him. But I was like playing that video. Actually, I was going to try to do that video years back when before he got in the UFC, or when he first got in the UFC. But it is ended up coming now. And I'm probably gonna do another video with him in the future in 2025, probably early 2025. But as far as that announcement, I was announcing that, if you guys want to see that live stream of me like sparring with him, training with him for a little bit, then that's gonna be behind the membership. So like, membership was like $5.99 a month, and you can see that live stream. Like, and, people tuned in, saw that live stream, and now I'm kind of taking bits from that live stream and making other videos out of it. But yeah, that was mainly that. And then as far as other announcements, I was talking about, I'm gonna try, probably put bets. I did do a 500 unit, not 500, 5-unit, 5-legger parlay. And the people that were already in the membership, they got to see that early. So you get to see that early. You get to get on the parlay, before the value drops. So if they got it in when I told them about it, they probably got it at like plus 190, plus 179. I think myself, when I got into that parlay, I think I got it like probably like plus 150, plus 160. So they probably got it at a better value if they really locked in. And then the people that got the likes to 100 on the YouTube short, then eventually everyone in the public that at least watched it were able to see the parlay and get in on it. But yeah, mainly what I announced about that announcement was sparring with a UFC fighter, and similar content like that's probably gonna come. I'm probably gonna spar with other UFC fighters as well, or former UFC fighter, other MMA fighters, maybe some wrestlers, maybe some grapplers. Just try to add some IRL content. I'm gonna put behind a little bit of a paywall, and I don't know if it's all going to stay behind a paywall, or maybe eventually I'm going to start making this the main thing. But again, that's just right now. It seems like that's going to be a paywall thing, and slowly integrated into the regular content. But initially paywall, and then the second paywall was going to be like my bets. So I already had my bets probably going for like 2 years for the public, like as far as they want to pay to get into those. But yeah, already going for 2 years. But that was on like Discord. But now I'm slowly trying to integrate that into YouTube as well, behind the membership. So right now the tier 1, I don't have a tier 2 right now, but tier 1 I probably drop a couple parlays every now and then, but that's not the full bets. Tier 2 would probably now I'm not gonna say probably, tier 2 would be all the bets. So them bitches be like, oh, here's my parlay of the week, or here's this, here's that. It'd be like all the bets. Tier 1, like, you get a couple bets tossed you here and there, and you get access to, I guess, membership content, like me sparring fighters, training with fighters, maybe me training up to try to oh, that's nothing I'm thinking about. This is an announcement just for you right here, just for your channel.
Let's
All
go.
right, West Coast IG. I definitely want to, do some. Matter of fact, I'm not gonna say I want to. I do want to. I'm saying I definitely. I'm gonna say will, because one is kind of a bad thing in a way, because then you just start passing on to next year. I will look to have at least one, if not all, these things this year in 2025. An MMA matchup, whether it be amateur or pro. Participate in probably at least one BJJ tournament, and probably like 1 or 2 amateur kickboxing matches. So I want to do those 3 things this year. And I think initially with those are going to be paywall stuff. That's going to be tier 1 membership. So that's something I'm looking to do in 2025.
Well, that sounds like you are a busy man and you have a lot of things on your plate. I hope you come back to the program and let me interview you before your MMA or one of your kickboxing fights. I think that would be super cool. We'll get you. I'll talk to you about your upcoming bout in 2025. I think that would be really cool. I'm looking forward to that. Let's put a bookmark in this. I'm going to ask you some UFC questions because you're the man, and that would be the perfect time for me to ask you just some general thoughts that you have. And we're going to start with 2025/2026. Some new faces that are coming into the promotion lately. Who are some of like these prospects that you've seen lately that you've been super impressed by that you think are going to make big waves in 2025 going into 2026?
You can pretty much just say all the fighting nerds, pretty much. Bahio, I feel like you could kind of say Bahio as well, but I feel like he's been here longer than other ones, so you can't. I still will list him in that. He's like I say, he's still a fresh face. What he been in UFC like 2-3 years max, and he's already
Something like that.
He's already kind of near a title shot. Um, what's his name? Mauricio Ruffy. That's another one. I think he only has 2 fights in UFC. Carlos Prates, he's doing well. What's his name? I think this guy he's Russian, but he lives in Germany. He's about to fight I think on the first or second card of the year. I forget his name, Islam Dudikov or something. What's his name? I forget his name.
Oh shoot. Isn't it Magomed? Geez, why am I? Gosh, we're gonna have to edit this. So.
But either way,
what is that guy?
That guy,
he fought Strickland, right? And then he lost. He got knocked out by Sean
Strickland. That's a middleweight, and that guy, he's okay, but he's not gonna be no big title threat. He got no cardio, and he already, I feel like he already is where he's at. He'll probably be a good journeyman, probably mid-level journeyman in the middleweight division. But yeah, there's a guy has he had his debut yet? I think he did have his debut. He had his debut already, or was it Contender Series? By the way, pretty big. He's fighting out of Germany. He's Russian. I think like a 6'2" welterweight. Got some power as well, some good technical skills. I think he could be a good, bright prospect in the welterweight division. And obviously, again, I said all of the fighting nerds. I'm
gonna plug a guy that.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna say there's one guy that I have to plug, and it would be Vinicius Oliveira. Like that guy looks like the truth, the lock dog.
Yeah, he can be a little bit wild, but he
is definitely wild.
I would definitely put him in the category like a Charles Oliveira, very great offensively, but defensively, he kind of could be a little bit liable, and it has been in the past in his career. But if he starts to tone that up a little bit, the sky's the limit for him. He's a solid fighter. Then another one is Felipe Lima. That guy has been doing well. He came in, into enemy territory against a guy that was really literally bigger than him. What was that, Naimov before? And Naimov was probably a couple minutes away from getting a decision, and he got a
I thought so. Yeah, I agree with you. I thought Naimov was winning that fight.
He parlayed that right back to back with a win over Mal Johns, who was on the best run of his career. And he looked clean, looked slick in that fight. He showed, consistency throughout. I think the Naimov fight, that was a short notice. It wasn't the prettiest fight throughout. I mean, he showed the skills throughout for sure, but it wasn't as clean, I say, as the Johns fight. It wasn't the Johns fight. He didn't get the stamp on the fight, but I feel like overall he showed more skills and more consistency over the course of that fight. And yeah, that sky's limited. I think he put that at 45. I think the guy could. Well, he looked kind of big. At first, I thought he could make flyweight. I don't think he can make flyweight. I think bantamweight's gonna be where he's at.
Yeah,
and I think he definitely do well in the bantamweight division in that picture. So Felipe Lima, all of the fighting nerds, those are the guys that's really sticking out to me right now. I feel like there's some other good guys coming up right now, but I feel like they're still too raw. What's his name? Morales in the welterweight division.
Mm-hmm.
I forget all these guys' full names, but I know Morales, he's still pretty young, and I feel like he's putting his game together. But I feel like he in the future could be a very good prospect. I mean, he's a good prospect now, but I feel like in the future, the sky's the limit if he keeps building onto what he has. So that guy could be very good. Felipe Lima, he is very good, and keep building onto what he's built on. Another one, Peyton Talbot, he's recent. He always seemed like such a big star, but he came in last year.
Yeah, recent, a new entry. Yeah.
Raul Russell Jr. is still 19.
Yeah, still a kid.
Guys, he's already big and strong as a 19-year-old. Imagine he, gets 25, and imagine if he just stays consistent. He don't burn out like Rory McDonald. And when he started, he finally hits his prime, and after all these years in May, he just turns into a beast. Maybe he turns into a better version of Charles Oliveira. Who knows?
Who knows, indeed.
Yeah, so
So, yeah, we just shouted out some amazing prospects. So there you have it from the King of Crackdown himself. I'm gonna shift gears. I want to ask you about a fight that recently just happened: the Shavkat fight versus Ian Gary. I feel like there's a lot of chatter about that fight. What's your reaction to that contest that had just happened? And does the outcome of that fight change your opinion of Bilal versus Shavkat?
it definitely. The funny thing is, I actually predicted that fight perfectly. I said, well, not perfectly, like like as far as he gonna end up with a rear neck choke in this round. It's gonna go like this, but I did say decision Shavkat in that one. He did get a decision. So as far as I'm really not surprised, to be honest. Maybe a little bit things in the grappling exchange a little bit different. Maybe, matter of fact, in reality, let me just say this right here. Ian Gary actually, based on that fight, when he really, with his tools, he should have won that fight. I feel like he got a perfect case scenario, but I feel like he was, I don't know what was he really doing? I feel like he wasn't throwing his kicks enough, and I feel like they were having a lot of success, and he wasn't really playing off that enough. I feel like he was kind of more so defensive enough, and I feel like even the way he's talking after the fight, I feel like he was just okay with making it to a decision. Like you're another undefeated young prospect, or at least going to that fight. You're another undefeated young prospect. You're like, I don't know if he was buying into what the fans were saying, but I wasn't buying. I was like, they're both undefeated. This is really the both fight. This is the best fighter both guys are fighting. It's each other.
Mm-hmm.
People act like Shavkat's such a monster, but like who he beat? He beat a 42-year-old Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, beat Jeff Neal, who's like a certified journeyman at this point, and Neil Magny, triple time certified journeyman for a long time. So like nothing he did had been that precedent. Ian Gary pretty much did the same thing. Only difference that Ian Gary beat MVP and Shavkat beat Wonderboy. And Wonderboy is more washed than MVP. MVP is fresh in the UFC. Shavkat, I mean, Wonderboy has been knocked out in the UFC. I mean, now he's been knocked out once. That's by Pettis, I think. Now he's been knocked out twice now, but that other knockout to Buckley was more recent. I'm just saying, but
Buckley and Anthony Pettis knocked him out.
yeah, I'm saying when Shavkat beat him, that knockout to Buckley had to have me because Buckley knocked him out was the most recent thing. But
right.
Yeah. So I don't feel like it adds so much new, but I think based on a little bit of success that Gary did have in the grappling, and the fact that Bilal will push a higher pace, he's not going to sit on the outside and just wait. He might not go out there and just look the. Well, he did push the pace against Leon Edwards, but yeah. But one thing we know for sure about Bilal, he's not going to go out there and low output. I feel like Gary allowed the fight to be low output. I think it would have benefited him by pushing the pace more. I think he has a better cardio. He's a more volume fighter. But I feel like he allowed Shavkat to not do as much and limited his own offense. Like he was so worried about what Shavkat was doing, or he was so worried about being defensive when he shouldn't. Like he held himself, his takedown defense was holding up. You can let the hands go a little bit more, let the kicks go more, especially the kicks. Probably start attacking the body a little more, start switching the kick up top, maybe some inside leg kicks, outside leg kicks, mix it up more. And I feel like he would have had a lot of success. And he definitely would have been, even with a high output, that would only wore Shavkat down more. And that would have gave him better opportunities to beat Shavkat. And then regardless, it still was a close fighting with like 3-2 or at the worst of like 3-1 or something, or 4-1. But either way, a much closer fight than other people were thinking it was going to be. But I would say only marginally as far as on my side. I know for other people, they like this completely did a 180, like, oh, Shavkat's the greatest thing since sliced bread or something. I know some people like now they just shifted like, oh, he's human. But I already knew he was human, so it's not like I shifted so much. I think the little bit of success that Gary did have with the little bit of grappling that he did do, and how limited for the most part Shavkat did look on the feet in that fight, I do think that does give me a little bit more confidence in Bilal. At first, I probably would have picked Shavkat, low confidence, but now it might be Bilal low confidence, but nothing too drastic. Because already, in my opinion, a close fight on paper from what I've seen by both guys. I do know that Shavkat was grossly overrated. Not to say that he's a bad fighter, but he was, based on what he did, what he done. This is his biggest confidence by far, beating another young undefeated fighter in Shavkat. Ian Gary. So yeah, it did shift a little bit. It was already kind of a close fight to me, based off before the fight happened, as far as the potential Bilal versus Shavkat fight. But now it's like it was a little bit short. I mean, a little bit more confidence in Shavkat. Now it's just a little bit more confidence in Bilal. But I'll see how the fight leads. If anything, another thing you got to factor in, maybe this was good for Shavkat because Shavkat got to go 5 rounds. He got to see like, oh, I need to work on this, work on that. So he could be a better fighter, as opposed to if this fight didn't happen and he just got rushed to Bilal and then Bilal exposed all these things. Now he got something proven. So I'm not gonna say he will come in better. So Bilal can't expect the same Shavkat he just saw here. Not to say he's gonna be so like he had a bad performance. That is who he is. But I feel like he knows that he needs to get better. But yeah, this is a slight shift in opinion. This is slight. That's all I'll say. What about you?
You know, as far as that fight is concerned, I was more impressed with Ian Gary in defeat than I was with Shavkat winning that fight. Like Ian Gary just impressed the heck out of me over the course of that fight. His takedown defense in particular was something else. I know that Shavkat isn't the guy that's going to go for like single legs or double legs necessarily. I know he's the guy that wants to clinch you up on the fence, grind you up a little bit, mash you up, and then trip you and get you down on the ground that way. But like he was having a heck of a time trying to do that against Ian Gary. I was very, very impressed with Ian Gary's defensive grappling. And then in the final, was it round 5? I don't remember. It was round 4 or 5 when he synced in. When he synced in that choke, he looked very, very close to having that rear naked choke. And then there's an article about it where he said, "Yeah, I was just a little bit off. I wasn't all the way underneath him. I was actually like on his jaw, and I was getting ready to like try to break his teeth if that's what I had to do in order to win." I read that article, and I was just like, man, when I consider this guy at how good he is right now at this young of an age, like I look at him and I'm just like, I see it now. Like this is a guy that just really, really impressed me. And I just can't help but think in the next 3 or 4 years, this is going to be a guy that very well could be the UFC champion.
Yeah, I agree. His grappling did look good defensively and stuff. And again, it was already such a close fight. So either those guys could make bigger adjustments going to the next one.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would make a whole night and day difference.
Absolutely. Well, I did want to conclude by asking you about UFC 311. That'll be happening on January 18th. That's the very first numbered event of 2025. I'm not going to ask you for your money picks. We'll wait for your predictions to come out here in a few weeks. But I did want to talk about 2 fights that are happening on this card. Kevin Holland versus Renier de Ritter, and then Johnny Walker versus Bogdan Guskov. I think both of these fights are going to be really, really exciting. I think we're going to see 2 finishes on both of these fights. Tell me about just kind of your initial lean, Johnny Walker versus Bogdan Guskov. What are some of the things that stand out to you about that matchup? And are you surprised that Walker hasn't decided to move up to heavyweight?
Let me see. I guess you asked me about the Bogdan Guskov versus Johnny Walker fight first. And initially, I'm going Bogdan Guskov, and I think I'm going to stick with Bogdan Guskov. Walker's been, it's not like he's coming off a decision loss or a decision win or a knockout win. He's coming off a knockout loss, and I think it might even be back-to-back knockout losses, I believe. But that's not good for shit. He going there with a heavy hitter, so it's going to be hard to lean to Johnny Walker in that one. It's hard to lean. Yeah, so got to be Bogdan Guskov. He's riding a better momentum. He's like got the power, he got the skill, and plus he's going over a guy who don't have the best defense, doesn't have the best chin, and is also coming off a knockout loss or knockout losses. And yeah, definitely, yeah. Bogdan Guskov knockout is where I'm leaning in. Probably gonna stay. What about you?
I agree with you, actually. I like Bogdan in that fight. So I like Anthony Smith Jr. to avenge the loss there and knock out Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker, like, he's good, but, his striking defense is a liability. We know he can get clipped. And this, to me, just seems like a tailor-made matchup that somebody like Bogdan Guskov can take advantage of. Johnny Walker, not really like a big grappling threat, not a guy that's going to be shooting on you or anything like that. I'm expecting like a stand-up war, and I trust in Bogdan Guskov. I trust in his durability a lot more than Johnny Walker's. Maybe Johnny Walker can pull one out. I mean, him getting a knockout over Bogdan Guskov, I suppose that wouldn't be the most surprising outcome, but hard to back that horse right now. As you mentioned before, 2 back-to-back knockout defeats. It just makes him a tough bet to make right now.
Yep. I guess you never know with Johnny Walker. He's kill or be killed. Maybe he lands a flying knee back to something. But you did ask one question that I didn't answer. You said, why didn't he move up to heavyweight yet? I feel like moving to heavyweight not going to change him, like not going to prove him too much. I feel like at the end of the day, like it's going like it's like he's at a heavier division. I could see if it was a guy that was like more technical and or had a greater chin and they had good defense. Like then you kind of move up between light heavyweight and heavyweight so easily. But the fact that it's not, I don't think his defense is going to improve so much. I don't think he's going to turn into some grappler at a heavyweight. Maybe get some lower heavyweights, but then the same thing. He's going to win like 2 fights at heavyweight. Then he'll go in there with a guy that got decent takedown defense, power, and he's going to get touched on the chin. It's like, I don't think it's going to help his chin much. I think anything, he'd probably be better off. Well, I don't know. At this point, it's like his career going to be the same no matter where he go. I don't think he's going to be no PFL champion. Maybe because the PFL champion at light heavyweight is, at one point was with Impa Gasagane. He was like a welterweight. And I don't think Double Zan Yashimoto is that big of a light heavyweight either. So he could potentially win over there. But yeah, PFL will probably be a better move for him. But over here at heavyweight or light heavyweight, again, he could have some good success at heavyweight for a little bit, but he's gonna run into some heavy hitters and be knocked out. Light heavyweight, he already, is at that point where he's gonna knock everybody, and it's like not a real big shift or improvement. Like you could try to give him like easier matches, but at the end of the day, wins the fight. Then like, what's next? Another guy that can knock him out. It's like, it's pretty much you already know the story.
Absolutely. And then the final fight I wanted to ask you about, Kevin Holland versus Renier de Ridder. Kevin Holland, we kind of know what he's about. We know that he is a good grappler when he chooses to use it, but primarily a guy that's known for the flashy striking. He goes up against a submission specialist, Renier de Ridder. He went up against GM3, and I remember you and I had like a little bit of dialogue on your Instagram page about that fight. I don't remember which side you were on. I took GM3. I think you went the other way. Am I right on that one?
GM3 versus Holland.
No, GM3 versus Renier de Ridder.
I went.
Did you take Renier?
Not take GM3 there.
I did too. So, and the one thing that I think you and I were talking about in that fight is like GM3 losing wasn't the most surprising outcome, but like GM3 cracked Renier de Ridder multiple times, and GM3 is also a submission specialist. And I can't help but think Kevin Holland, like him and GM3 couldn't be more miles apart when it comes to striking. Kevin Holland is a very slick, a dynamic striker, and he's a great grappler too. He's a jiu-jitsu black belt. I'm not seeing Renier de Ridder having a ton of success over Kevin Holland. I think this is going to be a tough matchup for him. I think Kevin Holland's going to sleep him. What do you think about that fight?
Right now, I'm actually leaning Renier de Ridder. I feel like Holland should have won his last fight against Delize, to be honest. Because the same thing. I think Delize is very stiff. Like he got power and stuff. I feel like striking not the prettiest, very sloppy. And I feel like Holland should pick apart on the feet. And I also feel like Delize, I don't feel like Delize doesn't have good takedown offense. And I think what got him taking on that fighting, Holland was over aggressive for whatever reason. Even on the bottom, he was defending well. I think he tried to, I don't know if he tried to hit like a sweep or something, or he tried to force something, and then he he injured himself trying to force something. Like he could have let the round end out, but he tried to force something instead of let the clock round out and then get back on the feet and continue to pick him apart like he was in the earlier stages of that round. Like he could have did that for 15 minutes, but for that reason, like he got over aggressive, which allowed him to get taken down. On the ground, he was too for whatever reason that whole fight he was over aggressive on the feet for no reason, over aggressive on the ground for no reason. And matter of fact, he probably could still win that first round basically off what he started off in that first round, and then just had a defensive guard, maybe throw some elbows up, talk some trash off his back, slap him off his back, and would have won the first round based off the earlier offense. But again, I don't know what he did there. But historically, it seemed like Holland, some people just got to go off his stories. Like you might see like he has the skills to do this, skills to do that. But it's right now, it's like, it seems like Holland typically does not, like when you look at his track record, he does not have the best track record against grapplers. Like, Kamzat, what's his name? Brendan Allen, now Delize, probably a couple other ones. Oh, Marvin Vittori, Derek Brunson. It's like, his track record against grapplers isn't the prettiest. So even though it's a fight he should win, this really should be a fight he should win and look great in. He probably will find some way to lose. That's how I feel about it. Like this fight has every reason for him to win, look good, and destroy de Ridder. But Holland's going to find a way to lose it. That's just what it seems to me.
All right. Well, there you have it. Those were my pressing questions about UFC 311. I don't want to ask you any more questions because I know you got some picks to make, and we'll let your picks do the speaking for themselves here in a few weeks. I really appreciate your time this evening. It was an absolute pleasure to have you on the program. I wanted to give you the final word if there's anything that you wanted to shout out or anyone that you wanted to thank before I let you go. Let's do it.
So, thanks for having me on here. Shouts out to you and your program, your IG, your YouTube, and everything you're in. So shout out to you. Other than that, I don't got no sponsors. I don't got no shout out. Shout out to my family. Like, if y'all see this, shout out to y'all. But other than that, I got other shout outs. And again, thanks for having me on here.
Absolutely. My pleasure. I look forward to having you back on this program so we can talk about one of your upcoming MMA fights. I'm looking forward to that one.
All right, for sure. You'll be the first to let know.